So, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about VNS devices. I have my notes right here in front of me. What I want to do today is just give people a market update. What that means is these are the devices that are currently available to stimulate the human vagus nerve, not a rat vagus nerve, not a mouse vagus nerve or a rabbit, a human vagus nerve that are available as of right now. Today is March 8th, 2023. It's 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So as of right now, these are tools and devices that are available on the market. So you could go out and buy these feasibly. If you're like, ooh, that sounds really cool, I want it, then you can go out and get it. So let's start first. First thing I want to say is that the tools and devices I'll be recommending today are going to be all electrical devices. So we're going to cover the electrical stimulation market right now. So the first options that are available currently, and I'm going to start from the top of the line devices and go down from there. Okay, so the top devices are going to be things that are implanted electrical stimulators. These are things that are going to be surgically implanted into your neck usually, and those are called VNS devices. If you're familiar with pacemakers, pacemakers are, you know, those little silver battery-powered electrical stimulators. They implant them under the chest, under the skin of the chest, over the rib cage. And typically a pacemaker would send leads, electrical wires, to your heart to stimulate your heart, which is actually a part of your vagus nerve network, but from your heart, from the cardiac sinoatrial node. So that's a pacemaker. Now, they found it in the 1990s that stimulating the vagus nerve in the neck was an effective anti-inflammatory treatment option. Long history of that, but actually quite exciting, quite a cool development in that space. So the vagus nerve stimulation implanted technology is as follows. If you want to get an implant, they're typically approved for things like depression, for PTSD, for rheumatoid arthritis, for a number of other autoimmune conditions, is how they're being implanted. So if you go to your neurologist and you say to your neurologist, hey, neurologist, I have a problem and I have an autoimmune condition. They'll say, tell me more. You'll have to, get approved for it, and your insurance can cover it. Typically, a VNS tool like that might run you about $16,000 out of pocket, and depends on your insurance, whatever it costs from there. So that's always an option. I wouldn't exclude that option in some cases. Some of you watching, that may not be a bad idea. It's nothing wrong with it. No shame in that. I've met great people, great human beings. They're just as human as you or I, and they just happen to have a vagus nerve stimulator implanted in their neck, which I kind of find to be kind of cool, actually, if I'm being honest with you. I kind of find that to be kind of interesting. So there are a lot of benefits from that too. So some of the benefits from a VNS implant are going to be things like certainly the improvement in the autoimmune condition. Now, one of the strangest discoveries that was made from a vagus nerve stimulation implant, the electrical kind, in the neck, in early patients with epilepsy. So people who have basically uncontrollable seizures. Their body's, shaking, going into an epileptic fit. VNS is very effective for treating epilepsy. Very effective. It's enabled people to get off the really harsh and hardcore drugs that you have to take with epilepsy. So VNS, in some cases, can take 6 to 12 months for epilepsy to be, I want to say cured, but I don't know if that's the exact term. You might call it remission from epilepsy. But in the meantime, so it was an interesting effect. So some of these epilepsy patients were depressed at the same time as they had epilepsy. I mean, can you blame them, right? It's not a fun condition. And what happened was that within about the 2 to 3 month window, their depression went away like completely depression free in a lot of these cases with the VNS implant, but they would still have epilepsy. So that got doctors and researchers wondering, is there something about stimulating the vagus nerve that influences your depression? And so they launched some major studies on that, and they found that indeed, that if you implanted a vagus nerve stimulator in a patient with severe depression, that they're not depressed anymore and they can get off the drugs that they're on. So that's an approved application for VNS. So if you are depressed severely and you haven't tried any other things, hey Janet, good to see you. Everybody joining, will continue. But so if you do have an implant, if you do have major depressive disorder of some sort or some serious autoimmune condition, then an implanted vagus nerve stimulator device is not a bad idea. The two top ones are generally going to be Boston Scientific is one company that makes these stimulators. The person doing the actual procedure will be a neurosurgeon, and that's a neurology department. It's not a rheumatoid arthritis department. It's a neurosurgeon. You'll have an actual really special trained neurosurgeon who will implant the device. They make an incision in the neck right here, and then an incision in your chest. They put the device here. They run leads, which are electrical wires, covered, insulated, up to your neck. They find your vagus nerve. They wrap the leads around it, suture you back up, and it's all done in one day. You're going to be under general anesthesia. So you will be out for that procedure. I have some crazy stories about that too, but cool stories. Anyway, for another time. So that's a vagus nerve stimulation implant procedure. Now, Boston Scientific is the one that is a pacemaker under your skin. There's a newer version called the Set Point, and the Set Point is an all-in-one device with the battery and the electrical stimulator leads built into it, and it just goes right in your neck as a little cuff thing that wraps around your vagus nerve. It's hidden behind all the muscle. You can't see it. You can't feel it. You'll never notice it's there. You live like a completely normal person, and it's rechargeable every week. And in order to recharge it, all you have to do is wear a collar that wirelessly charges it under your skin. You do that once a week, and you're set, and that's it. Show of hands or in the comments, if you are interested in VNS, type I like that idea, or share your opinions. I'm curious about people watching. I want you to share, what are your thoughts on a vagus nerve stimulator implanted in your neck? Is that like a yes, or like a no, or not sure, or I'm open to it? I'm just curious from the comments, if you could just type in real quickly, just quick initial poll, right? So a little quick poll, a straw poll. What are your thoughts on a vagus nerve stimulator implant? What do you think about that, etc.? I see one from, okay, so no surgery. Okay, I understand. I think of my nephew who has severe depression. Wish I could get one. So someone with severe depression that is not easy to treat, I would probably say it's an option. It's definitely an option. Not sure, not quite there yet. Yeah, no, I wish I could get one. Okay, got it. Okay, so mixed opinions. This is all very helpful. Let's see. Not sure. Implant makes me feel uneasy. I understand. It's definitely it's not the go-to option. I get that for sure. Not yet, unsure, not sure. No. Okay. Fair enough. Thank you guys for sharing your thoughts on that. It's very, very interested. We have a not interested, not sick with those conditions. I totally hear you. Not something I would probably get, but if if in an off chance that I developed like some severe autoimmune condition like rheumatoid arthritis, because it can get bad. I've personally know a pretty famous woman in the vagus nerve community who has a VNS implant, and she didn't respond to any drug therapy at all. And she was a 22-year-old who could barely walk. I mean, her immune system was just overactive and just going crazy. So Yeah, but she got it and she's in full remission. It took 2 weeks of stimulation for her to basically go from feeling like an 80-year-old in a 20-year-old's body to feeling like a 20-year-old in a 20-year-old's body. So it was 2 weeks. She was running up and down stairs. So the VNS yes, it's an extreme option, but it can be extremely effective as well. So something to just keep in the back of your mind. We have, certainly in this Facebook group, have given people the information and have seen successful implantation with a number of folks from this very Facebook group who have come here asking for advice if they should pursue it. And I'll typically just give my very honest opinion. I've met the creators of the technology in person over in New York, and I've met a lot of the people who have them, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's but it's certainly not. It wouldn't be my first option. Okay. Um, uh, yeah. So yeah. Question being, is vagus nerve being stimulated consistently? The way that a VNS implant works for those kinds of conditions is that it would be considered a chronic stimulator. And what that typically means that every 3 minutes, the device emits a short pulse of stimulation. So that's it. So it is on all day. And if you have epilepsy, for instance, the devices are so advanced now that it can detect the onset of a seizure, and then it'll start stimulating more. In the past, the way that happened, because the electronics were not so advanced, is you would see patients with a vagus nerve stimulator implanted. They would wear a black bracelet with a magnet in it, and as soon as the person would feel the onset of an epileptic seizure, they would then just swipe their hand across it, and then they would no longer have the issue. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, the technology is advanced enough now that it can detect the onset of a seizure and stimulate preemptively. So, and to be fair, we're here in 2023 right now, and I know for a fact, I've seen in person the prototypes and the devices that are coming. It will only become more enticing in the near future over the next 5 years that these will become much more common. Currently, there are about 300,000 human beings on the planet, mostly in America, Canada, and Europe, with a vagus nerve stimulator implanted in their body. And that means, I believe I calculated, 1 out of every 30,000 human beings has a VNS implant, and that ratio will only continue to increase. So anyway, yes, the strength of the stimulation can be adjusted. That is something that is done with your neurosurgeon after implantation. First they implant it, then they don't turn it on for 2 weeks just to see if your body takes it. And there's only the failure rates for a VNS implant are extremely low. That's why it is a very good option for a lot of people. It's way better than the drugs that are being provided. So anyway, moving on, I want to go down the list now to other options. So the two options from that category are Boston Scientific is one of the manufacturers, and the more recent one, the more advanced one, is called Set Point. Set Point. And they typically do stuff with rheumatoid arthritis and other conditions. So, but there's some amazing stuff. There's even a company called Microtransponder, which is installing vagus nerve stimulation implants after a stroke. So if you or someone you love has a stroke, then please consider it, because in terms of the recovery time, the first few months are critical for recovering your brain. And if you're stimulating your vagus nerve, your brain will repair itself a lot faster, in some cases 3 to 4 times faster recovery in terms of using your limbs and that kind of thing, compared to not VNS options. So something to consider for sure. Okay, so yes. So moving on, then I want to stick in the vagus nerve stimulator field, but look at some more specific applications that are being developed currently. So the main mechanism by which VNS in the neck by implant works is primarily because of its effect on your spleen. So everybody know your spleen? Do you know your spleen? Raise your hand if you know where the spleen is. Actually, raise your left hand, and then what I want you to do is find your elbow, your inner elbow bone, and then I want you to take your arms and go like this, bring them into your body, and then find where your elbow touches your rib cage on the left side. That's going to be right about on top of your spleen. That's your spleen. Now, the mechanism of action, even when you have an implant in your neck, is the electrical signals reaching the spleen and causing a drastic drop in the production of cytokines, namely TNF alpha, and interleukins of many types. So there's a company called Galvani Bioelectrics that's currently uh, in the process of testing, where they're going to actually take all of that electronic stuff that you would normally have in your neck and just implant it all the way down under your rib cage on the inside of the spleen, and it administers a light electrical pulse. One implant across the board for these implanted devices, they'll typically, battery life is going to be about 10 years. So 10 years of continuous stimulation, not bad. When it's time, when the battery is out, you'll go in for a replacement. That's it. So pretty cool. So that's Galvani Bioelectrics, and there are many products coming soon that will be implanted in your organs specifically and not in your neck. That does increase the effectiveness significantly. So then moving down, now let's take things outside of the body. So let's go to transcutaneous. Cutaneous meaning your skin, trans meaning above, not inside. So subcutaneous would be under the skin, trans would be above or outside of the skin. So the area we're going to start with is going to be cervical vagus nerve stimulation, trying to mimic the benefits of stimulating through the neck, through the cervical branch, where the implantation is typically done. In this case, we're going to look at transcutaneous electrical vagus nerve stimulation technology, things that you hold right up against your neck with electricity. Two companies that you may be familiar with. Well, one that you're probably familiar with is called GammaCore. They just released a new product called the Truvaga, and that's on the market today. That's a device that's non-rechargeable, and it lasts for probably would estimate about 3 to 4-ish months until you have to purchase a new one. Unsure about the prices currently, but I think you'll be looking at a yearly supply at about $1,200 for per year to replace that. So that's an option. That's probably the most well-tolerated option for most people. One second. Okay, cool. All right. So as far as the transcutaneous options are concerned, stimulating over the neck is a relatively good idea. That's the next best option to a VNS implant if you're sticking in the electrical field. The GammaCore product is, how it works, essentially how you know it works is if you're stimulating usually on the left side, the way you know that it works is by something called lip curl. So what lip curl means is that because you have so many muscles in your neck that regulate your facial structure, I'm going to make an ugly face here, guys, just so you know. So just pre-warning, don't be like, oh, what happened to Sterling? What happens here is that with lip curl is when you stimulate electrically in the neck, it's going to pull your lip down like this, okay? That's the end of the ugly faces, but it's called lip curl, and it will be contracting the muscles and pulling it down. That's how you know that a GammaCore type device is working. Now, that's an interesting thing. I want you to make an asterisk on that, make a clear note that that is a requirement of knowing if a device is stimulating the vagus nerve in the neck. That's a clinically effective dosage. So unless you're getting some type of lip curl effect in the neck, you probably aren't getting the kind of stimulation you think you're getting. Now, having said that, there are a few other devices that do stimulate through the neck. There's a device called, there's a vagus nerve stimulation called the Relief Mini, and that's from a company called Hooley, Hooley. No relation to Cooley, but it is called Hooley. So that's the company, kind of a wacky name, but Hooley, Hooley, that's a small and rechargeable by USB-C device that is under $300, and it will probably last you for, maybe 6 to 12 months as one device. It fits on a keychain. It does provide sort of lip curl, but it's not as strong as the GammaCore device. But you will see good testimonials that shows that people do get some kind of a good effect from it. What else? There's another device in that same space that stimulates around the neck, vagal space, and that's called the Pulsetto. That device just launched on Indiegogo recently. You may have seen it. Yes, Hooley, Hooley. You have the spelling correct in the chat. So there's another device that launched recently called Hooley, or no, sorry, not Hooley, but Pulsetto, and that launched on Indiegogo just as of a few months ago. I believe they're shipping product currently. That also does stimulate through the neck. Does not induce lip curl, which could be kind of an interesting challenge if you're really trying to make claims that you're stimulating the vagus nerve. But it does stimulate across the recurrent laryngeal nerves through your throat, so you won't be able to speak while it's on. Well, you shouldn't be able to speak while it's on, but that does also have good testimonials. So as far as cervical branch stimulation is concerned, those are probably 3 products that I would look at, and I would probably not encourage you to consider any other options. Those are the ones that would be in the space of consideration. No, I do not have links, but if you just Google the names of these things, you'll easily be able to find them. GammaCore, Setpoint, what else? Hooley, and Pulsetto. Yeah. If you just type in, even if you don't get the spelling right and you type VNS after it, they'll show up, or Vegas, they'll show up. Yeah. Google's good. I recommend Google for finding these things. Do have a question. Does VNS help with laryngopharyngeal reflux? In my opinion, yes. It definitely can be a good idea. Not so sure about electrical stimulation for dealing with that, but there are other modalities like ultrasound that certainly do improve those conditions very rapidly. But anyway, back to electrical stimulation. So moving on from the neck, which is probably the most effective transcutaneous form of VNS if you're not going to go for an implant, which I'm sure 99.999% of you watching are not going to opt for a vagus nerve implant. I'd say about 20% of you will most likely in your lifetime opt in. Sorry, I got to move this thing. Most of you will probably opt in for a transcutaneous over-the-neck stimulator device. That's probably 20% of you will go that route. The other form of stimulation here, according to my notes, is going to be auricular vagus nerve stimulation. So auricular vagus nerve stimulation is anything from the ear. So there's a branch of your vagus nerve that runs through your ear. It's, your vagus nerve primarily runs down, so that's why cervical stimulation is the most bang for your buck, so to speak, in terms of time spent. Those devices only need to stimulate for about 2 to 4 to 6 minutes total to deliver a full dose with the lip curl. But there is a small branch that goes up into your ear. Yeah, actually, yes. So I do have a quick question from a device called the AmmoFit S, which is also on Indiegogo. My professional opinion, I would definitely discourage people from acquiring something like that. It's essentially the equivalent of a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi emitter placed on your chest as a necklace. I did some digging. That company actually used to be a golfing company, and they made a pivot into the vagus nerve stimulation market for obvious reasons, because there's more money in vagus nerve stimulation than golfing. But just look into the history of that company a little bit further, and you'll find that maybe some of their claims about Wi-Fi delivered to your chest may not hold up so much in terms of clinical validation. So no, I would not recommend an AmmoFit device. Definitely not. Let's see. Oh yeah, Callie, you have a question about something that we talked about that would be probably ultrasound. But for what we're doing today is we're just covering electrical stimulation. That's all. We're just covering the electrical stuff because that's where most people are going to be getting vagus nerve stimulation. Um, let's see. Oh, Nisa has a question pointing to the front or the side. For electrical stimulation, you need to go here. But with ultrasound, you can go from the side. You can also go from the front, but side's better. Side's better for a couple of reasons when it comes to ultrasound. Namely, that we can utilize the shape of the jugular vein to conform the waveform of ultrasound to better hit your vagus nerve, which is actually a cool feature of sound that electrical stimulation does not have. So anyway, okay, I do want to move on to the auricular stuff I was talking about. So with the ear, you have a branch of your vagus nerve that runs right here in this part of your ear. You see where I'm touching? Okay, it's right there, also right there. Right where I'm putting my finger, basically, right up here, not down here, not here, but up here, right? That part of your ear is called the concha or the symbiconcha. That's the most confocal location of your vagal nerve fibers, according to anatomical research. If you're buying a device like a CES Ultra that clips under your earlobe or your tragus, which is this little guy, this bad boy that sticks out right here, that thing, that's called your tragus. Those are not really effective vagus nerve stimulation locations. So if you're getting a device that claims to do VNS through your earlobe or your tragus, you really are not getting it. So let's talk about some options that exist for stimulating the appropriate location of your ear. All delivery of electrical stimulation to the ear should happen from the front to the back of the ear, meaning a clip system, something that clips onto this part of the ear comfortably, is basically the only really truly effective form of electrical stimulation. We all know that placebo things work. So you're certainly going to see people say, "Oh, I clipped something to my earlobe, to my nose, and it claimed to be stimulating my vagus nerve, and it felt really good." And I'm like, "Cool. If it works for you, then it works for you." But I can't honestly sit here and say, "Yeah, your earlobe is a good place." Your vagus nerve does not exist in your earlobe whatsoever. Can you get off-target effects? Yes, but why? Why waste your time? You're going to have to be wearing a device for a lot longer to be able to get off-target vagus nerve effects if you're on your earlobe compared to if you just go straight for the vagus nerve. So this is vagus nerve stimulation, not general cranial nerve stimulation. There are devices that can stimulate your face that will stimulate your trigeminal nerve, and those can have effects, but this isn't that video. So auricular vagus nerve stimulation from the ear is going to have something that fits in here and clips onto the back, or maybe runs electrical current from here to here. Maybe something like acupuncture. They have acupuncture devices that stick a needle right into here and then run electricity from here to here. That is a potential. Unlikely. I cannot really recommend becoming reliant on sticking needles in your ear, but certainly people have done it. So that's an option. But from a practical sense, something that maybe more than 0.00001% of you will try is going to be something like, let's see. There's a product from Nemetschek Technologies. Nemetschek, Nemecheck, Nemetschek. Nemetschek will provide basically a device that is capable of clipping onto your ear on the concha, and it connects to your phone, and it powers it. It's powered through an app on your phone. So it's a very mobile solution. A lot of people get those. Those are quite expensive, but worth looking at. I do believe that those work. Those definitely do work for vagus nerve stimulation. Nemetschek knows his stuff when it comes to VNS. What else? There aren't a lot of products that are available to the consumer. There are a lot of products that are available by prescription that you can use to stimulate your vagus nerve through your ear. A lot of those are used for more medical applications. There's one, I won't mention the name because it's not relevant, but there is one device that is approved for stimulating your ear. It's basically like it's like an AirPod that you put in your ear, but it has a wrap around the back and it stimulates right through the concha. That's being used for opioid recovery. So if you have a family member who's going to recovery, ask about a vagus nerve stimulator for the ear for opioid recovery. These things are covered by insurance. Those types of devices for opioid recovery are covered by insurance. So you may be able to get a good deal on that. But that's not something you can get as a consumer unless you are, nursing a really bad addiction to something. So certainly that's an option. Um, I would say that the only other good option for stimulating through the ear is electrically is probably going to be the microcurrent ear clip stimulation system. That is something that is, if you're in any of these Facebook groups, you're going to read about that a lot. There's another group called AVA, and they'll just wholeheartedly recommend any kind of TENS unit thing that with ear clips connected to it down to, I think you can get a TENS unit for $13. Now, here's my really severe warning to you. If you do go that route, not just so you know, TENS units were never designed to administer electrical shocks to your ear. You have to be very careful with these devices. I'm even more cautious about using a $16 TENS unit with an ear clip than I would be if you were using a gammaCore on your neck. Certainly the cost is different, but keep in mind a TENS unit is a muscle stimulator, not a nerve stimulator. So it's better to get devices that are able to do microcurrent stimulation. It is absolutely possible to overstimulate your vagus nerve through your ear clip, and that can have some pretty nasty side effects, especially for someone who's desperate. So I think it's unfortunate that people aren't more careful in making these recommendations. That's one of the reasons I decided to create a free online resource at vegascure.com. So you go to vegascure.com. Many of you watching probably have already checked out that resource, but for some of you who haven't and who are looking for a cost-effective, safe solution that administers microcurrent to the ear through a pair of specialized ear clips that clip on exactly in the concha area, you can go to vegascure.com, register an account, go check it out, and you can be probably stimulating within a few days at a very low price, sub $100 more or less. There are UK versions, there are European versions, and there are US and Canadian versions as well that you can go and order. So not a bad option for somebody who's exploring it. What we will say is that those types of devices across the board, when we're talking about clipping to the ear, even to the concha, is that there are a lot of pain receptors in the ear, as you could imagine. So in order to deliver an effective dosage, you cannot up the intensity so much. But what you have to do instead is increase the time. So where you can't pump a lot of electricity into your ear, you have to make up for low electrical current, but extend it by time to get the full multiplied advantage of ear clip stimulation. That's typically going to look like 30 minutes to up to 2 hours of stimulation through the ear. So some people absolutely have the time. They don't have the money. Vagus Cure is a good option for people in that class. So ear clip stimulation is, if you have, my honest opinion of it is, a lot of people do it. A lot of people do it dangerously. And I think you should be very cautious and follow good written advice, probably from me, because I know about this stuff. And just go to vegascure.com, register an account, and you can go get that. So what else? So as far as ear clip stimulation goes, there are not very many. Okay, there's a European option that's called, I believe, TENS Stimulation Technologies, and it's changed names a few times, but it's extremely expensive. We're talking about $4,000 for just an ear clip device that clips in your ear. those are typically going to be used for pretty severe autoimmune conditions. So I think they're good, but I think you could probably, if you're going to go ear clip vagus nerve stimulation, electrically speaking, that's probably, it's overkill, but it's something that you probably are going to have to get by prescription from a doctor. So yeah, I'd say probably 30 to 40% of you watching will most likely take the route of going to veguscure.com and actually ordering a ear clip stimulator and giving it a shot, giving it a try. If something like that doesn't work, then I would probably try going up the options. Here's what I'll say. To be honest with you, go based on what's financially feasible for you, what makes sense from a time perspective. If you're okay being more of a bit of an experimenter with these electrical devices that are affordable, there are lots of stimulation options that you have to program in manually. That can be good. That can be a disadvantage if you aren't so tech savvy. So that's where something like one device that you place against your neck, like a gamma core, is a good option, because you just press a button and it's on, and you place it on your neck, and that's it. So it's not a lot of wiggle room for making a mistake, so to speak. Ear clip stimulation is what it is. It's an option. So other than that, curious from the chat, what out of all of the options, implant, cervical, or auricular, sounds good to you? I'm going to take a little sip of water here. But yeah, share some questions, share some thoughts. I'd love to read over some of the comments and see what y'all think. I see a good question here from Nancy. What are the signs that you are overstimulating the vagus nerve? What are the signs that you are overstimulating the vagus nerve? The signs that you're overstimulating your vagus nerve. Well, so basically your vagus nerve has a lot of functions. I would basically look at if any of the functions of the vagus nerve are working improperly from using a stimulation system, then it's possible that you're overstimulating. What would it be? Stimulating with these tools, I would say, it's hard to say. So I think what happens with the vagus nerve is that it's kind of like this. So let's draw a line from 0 activation of the vagus nerve to 100% activation. Okay, you follow? So we're going to draw a line between 0 and 100. So if you're starting and you're starting low, then what's going to happen is you're going to start low and slowly move up to 80 to 90% stimulation of your vagus nerve. But what's going to happen is that your vagus nerve can only do so much with electrical stimulation, and it's going to actually crater at the end, because electrical stimulation forces your neurons to fire. That can be good. If it's like if you have, let's say that you have a horse and the horse won't move. Could you use an electrical stimulator to make a horse move? Yes. Can you stimulate a horse electrically so much that it has learned hopelessness? Yes. So if you overstimulate an animal with an electrical stimulation system, at first they'll move. But if your hope is to get your horse to run consistently by increasing electrical input, then there will be a point where that horse just won't move anymore. So that is more likely the outcome of over electrical stimulation of the vagus nerve, is it will just stop working. And that's typically what we see when people become super dependent on getting vagus nerve stimulation through electrical work. That's typically why, as myself, as a coach who works with people with this, if you want to do it, if you want to do this yourself, you have all the resources here to go buy a device and experiment on your own. You don't even have to talk to a person. You just go on the website and you order something. It comes to you. You sit at home by yourself and you go like that. So that's an option. But basically, overstimulation of the vagus nerve means vagus nerve failure more than anything, and you'll be set back to about, the first floor or ground zero of stimulation. So it goes 0, you increase stimulation, feels good. You get too dependent on it because you're like, this is the only thing that works, and then you go like that. So your vagus nerve will basically have what we would typically look at, something akin to acetylcholine syndrome, and that's when your body is no longer able to effectively utilize the vagus nerve anymore. So that can be a kind of a dangerous trough to be in. So that's why I urge caution on becoming dependent on these devices. There is another device that was popular on the market in 2018, 2019, and it was basically a device that, similar to the Pulsetto, was wrapped around your neck. But their claims were weight loss, which can be a side effect of vagus nerve stimulation, is that you feel full for longer. So it can do some things on, obviously your vagus nerve controls if you feel hungry or full. So that's a vagus nerve function. But typically, when you're running general stimulation over cranial nerves, and you are dealing with the potential for a crash, what can happen is you rebound. You gain all that weight back. As long as you're stimulating electrically, you're fine. But as soon as you stop stimulating, then you can fall backwards pretty quickly. So that is the risk with electrical stimulation. None of these devices have built into them a stopping condition. You'll notice that. Ask them. You do the work yourself. If somebody gets a vagus nerve stimulator implanted in their neck, is there a condition upon which the vagus nerve stimulator will ever be removed from their neck? What do you think the answer is to that? I'm curious for you guys in the chat. What are your thoughts from what you know? If you have epilepsy as a condition or rheumatoid arthritis and you're implanted with a VNS device, what's the percentage of those people who have an implant that are electrically stimulating their vagus nerve who ever get those devices removed? Is it closer to 0? Is it closer to 50? Is it closer to 100? Let's say they do 10 years of constant stimulation with electrical stimulation and it's good. Do those people ever remove those devices? What do you think? Just curious. And I do have to hop off here in a few moments. I have a wonderful 10-minute game plan call. So for those who are curious about getting some help from a specialist in this space, we do take phone calls. I'll drop my link here in the chat if you want to do that. Actually, I'll just put our website. I'll put a couple things here. So for a ear clip stimulation safe option, visit veguscure.com and register for the free online course with all the links you need to purchase your own TVNS that is auricular based and allows for clinically proven, safe, and effective delivery methods for VNS to the concha. Boom. Okay. So veguscure.com, that's one place I would recommend you go. We have a comment in the chat. Nope. And that's correct. The answer to that question is 0%. There are 0% of people who have an electrical implant in their neck that ever get it removed. So that might tell you something about electrical stimulators in the neck or the ear, is there ever going to be a time when your vagus nerve is, good to stop? And the answer, generally speaking, from what I've seen, is no. So if you want to go down that route, recognize that you will most likely have to shift over to different modalities. That's typically why you'll see me talking about neck strengthening and diet and other methods that are more natural to help you stimulate your vagus nerve. So for people asking if they can schedule a call with me, I would actually recommend that you do this. Next week, Wednesday, we will be running a free 5-day challenge, and you can learn more about other VNS options, most importantly, my own personal recommendations, and natural methods for VNS, non-electrical stuff. That would be vegushub.com/5-day. I believe you just go there and you can register for the 5-day challenge ahead of time. And when you do that, you will be able to join us on a 5-day challenge. Those are really fun. Those are very informative. Anybody watching, if you've been to one of those, give your opinion. Did you like the 5-day challenge? I think we have a couple people watching who are clients and who have actually done the 5-day challenge. It's always really helpful to have others kind of like give you social proof. So people who have been to the 5-day challenge, if you liked it, please just type in the chat right now. Did you learn? Was it worth your time? 5-day challenge is only 1 hour every day from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Happens about middle of the day. The times will be listed there. I think I have to update the webpage to say the specific date, but I'll do that right after this video. But yeah. Oh, we had another question here. I wanted to get to that. Let's see. So Heather said she purchased a ear clip stimulation system, hoping it's a good purchase. I hope it is too. Let's see. Allie says, I'm leaning on the Nemetschek for my son who is autistic. We already follow his protocol, but was worried about my son can't tell us how it feels or how it's working since he's nonverbal. The price tag is shocking, though. Yeah, I tend to agree. The price on something like that is rather steep, but yeah, I mean, I think, yeah. I don't typically work with pediatric clients who have autistic children. Not like I'm not able to. We have in the past, but our focus right now is mainly going to be on more adult cases who want to incorporate VNS safely with human guidance, with specialist guidance. So yeah. What else? Oh, Liz, I loved it. I recommend the 5-day challenge. Hi from Mexico. Hi, Liz. Good to see you. Which device do I use? The devices that I use are ultrasound based. That's what I prefer. I don't do any form of electrical stimulation. You're probably wondering, well, why would you do this whole video on electrical stimulation? Because a lot of people ask. They say, what's the best electrical stimulator? And here you go. These are the best stimulators available. And, I know all these because I run this group. We have 23,000 members. So I see it all. I know what's out there. I know what works, what doesn't work, what's just gimmick, what actually does stuff. So yeah, I personally don't do electrical stimulation. Have I done it? Yes, I've tried a number of the options that I've recommended today from the electrical camp. For someone who is just exploring these things, they're great options. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong there's nothing wrong with trying electrical stimulation. Probably keeping the prices low on it for right now is a good option. That's probably why VegusCure.com is used and trusted by multiple thousands of people from all over the world as their first source, as their first tool to find and purchase an electrical stimulator. The electrical stimulator found in VegusCure.com is not one that we sell, but it's a safe, approved methodology for stimulation used in clinic and in research. And that device, all total, runs under $100. So again, if you want, you can try auricular vagus nerve stimulation through the ear, which is a very popular thing, but you need to do it safely. There's a difference between not paying $2,000 for a Nemetschek device, and then there's a big difference between just trying to pay $16 for a TENS unit. Okay? There's a specific range that you need to look at. for this. So, um, we have a great comment as well. Thumbs up on the red ball neck strengthening whenever I do it. Daily, my atlas snaps into proper alignment while strengthening the muscles around my vagus nerve. Thank you. You're very welcome. And so again, that's another reason why I don't just say, oh, just stimulate your vagus nerve with electricity. You'll be fine. You have nothing else to work on. That is just not true. That is just not the case. So for those who want a full picture from someone who knows, I've been working in the field of neuromodulation, which is the field of stimulating nerves in the body, in the brain, for now 10 years, a decade. I may look young, but this has been my full-time work since I was about 23 years old. So yeah, I can help. I can certainly help. But my recommendation for many of you would be to sign up for the 5-day challenge. It's a free challenge. There are replays available, similar modality to this, but it's a lot more exciting. We'll be doing actual exercises on camera. This is just an informative call, just so you guys know what's out there. But just to do a recap, just so you guys have a full, clear picture, if you're tuning in late, I'm just going to list off briefly the recommendations from the electrical stimulation camp that I would recommend you look at if you are going to go the route of electrical stimulation. If you want to go other routes and if you want to get a free 5-day challenge, you can register for the 5-day in the links in the comments. But here we go from the top. VNS implants, similar to pacemakers, can be installed in your neck. There's the set point device, which is the most recent, the most advanced, and all it is a one-size-fits-all battery-included pack in your neck that gets wirelessly recharged. The other options are from Boston Scientific and a few other LivaNova companies as well. Those are implanted under your chest, and you have a pacemaker with electrical leads going up into your neck. Nothing wrong with either of those. Those are expensive options, but those are the best options. If you're going to look like, how do I get my vagus nerve stimulated without any questions, that's how you do it. Then transcutaneously, well, I guess there's one that stimulates right in the spleen. That's a good option, but that's a pretty hardcore option. Then transcutaneously through the neck, through the cervical branch, we have GammaCore, we have Hulest, and then we have Pulsetto. Hulest. Not Hooli, it's Hulest. Hoolest. And they have a little device called the Mini, the Relief Mini, and that's a small little, it's like the GammaCore, but it's tiny. It's a little bit cheaper and it's rechargeable, so it'll last a little bit longer. Cheaper yearly subscription. But as far as anything transcutaneously that's on the neck, GammaCore definitely will make the best options. They're the most expensive in that category, but they're the best. So consider those. But yeah, with the GammaCore, you will have to reorder it every 4 months. And like I said, with electrical stimulation, is that there's not an end period. There's no condition for you to stop. They're just, if you get benefits, then you need to continue to use it. Then there's auricular stimulation, which is through the ear. There are companies like the Nemetschek device, which a lot of parents with children who are autistic will consider. And it connects to your phone. So your mobile phone is able to power the device. So it's very cool, very mobile. Then there's the Vagus Cure website, which is an online course which teaches you how to actually appropriately purchase a microcurrent stimulator with ear clips. There's a new form of ear clips as well that are all completely put together that are cool, that cost, I think, $10 for an ear clip. The ear clips themselves are $10. The actual physical stimulator is, I think, in the $70 range or so. So all total, said and done, it's less than $100, and it does do just what the Nemetschek device does. So it's an option. Yeah. So that's about it. Anything that clips onto your earlobes or your tragus is not technically going to be stimulating your vagus nerve. If they make those claims, which they're legally allowed to do technically, it doesn't mean that they are actually doing it. Just because you put something on your body and it feels good doesn't mean you're stimulating your vagus nerve. There are many other mechanisms to feel good that aren't just your vagus nerve, just so you guys know. But other than that, yeah, so that's it. Any last questions? I have maybe about 60 seconds to take a question or whatever before I have to hop on the next call. I'm going to just get that prepared. But yes, we do. I'm going to be jumping onto a 10-minute free game plan call consultation. For those who are wondering, I've been told I don't promote this enough. I kind of think it's annoying for you guys, but if you want to go read about me, how I help people, you can go to vegashub.com/home. And then there's a link in orange. You can click on that. You can schedule a 10-minute call. You could be talking to me on the phone here in about a day or two. So that'd be good. But I would certainly prefer that you do the 5-day challenge, because you'll learn a lot more about what we're able to do, because we don't just sell devices. I am kind of annoyed when people are like, can I just buy a device for you? After everything that I've told you today, why would you think I would just sell a device? There's very few benefits to just selling a single device to someone and not looking at bigger pictures, because there's a lot more to it. As you can see, Callie has been strengthening her neck to repair her atlas bone position, which your atlas bone is right in your neck. And if it rotates, it pinches your vagus nerve. So here you are stimulating your vagus nerve with electricity, not working on your neck. How is that going to work? You can't stimulate a nerve that's being compressed. Great question from Bonnie. Does this help Parkinson's? I would say yes. I would say that it's absolutely something you should do. It's a non-drug option. And yeah, there is a lot of research showing that it does help Parkinson's disease. For that kind of thing, that would be a condition where I would definitely recommend you schedule a call with me so we can get into the specifics. It's not an exact like 100% yes. It depends. It really does depend. I need to know more, but how that developed, how far along is it, what kind of protocols you would need to do. But yes. So anyway, thanks everybody so much for watching. That's gonna do it for me today. Thanks for tuning into my video versus all the other videos on your feed today. And I hope you have a good day, and I hope you have a good time. And I hope to see you in the 5-day challenge. That's where I want to see you guys next. And I'm going to pin that here, because that's going to be definitely the best option for getting more specific help. That'll be in a separate group that you'll have to fill out a little form. We're going to be getting to know each other a bit more personally, and it's going to be more customized to you. And those are only going to be about probably 50 people allowed in the 5-day challenge. So good option. All right, guys, thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.